Congratulations, everybody. This will be a spin off of the Uncle John Show. I will teach you, women and men, techniques on how to dominate, to be a successful person in business, especially when you're young adult, you're getting out of high school, you want to be successful in the entrepreneurship or business field. I will teach you. I will make episodes like I did with the Uncle John Show. I will do a spin-off of this. And this will teach you, in other words, about these key concepts about YouTube and how to be successful. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. You're going to enjoy this, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to actually like this. Because Uncle John was around a lot of comedians. And he's got many, many stories. And you kids, you can download this. It's free. I'm not going to charge. What I am going to do when I build this website and all this whole 9 yards, what I am going to do is I am going to help people accomplish certain goals and skills. I'm going to do versions of what you call like being a life coach. I'm going to do live events. I'm going to do versions of live events where I have the thing set up and it's a live event. You can ask me questions and I can give you certain advice. So, sit back, relax, enjoy the show. You're gonna enjoy this because it's about fun here on the Uncle John Show. It's going to be fun because kids are gonna laugh about how I went through certain experiences and how I had to take time for myself. So, when I was away at school the second time around when I was in Cornell, during the summertime I was with Alexis and many of the female women. We went to France and went to United Kingdom. We traveled. So, a lot of times I would wear like an outfit like this, and I had was one of my jackets I wore when I was at work. And I was around certain people. So I was around very famous people. I was around administrators. I did certain things for the American Red Cross. I did certain things for the AmeriCorps. So when I did a lot of those things, ladies and gentlemen, I experienced firsthand about the Zatar Law. I understood that there are things out there that are not explained to young adults. Young adults meaning teenagers. They're not really explained. Now, this, you can't really see it. They're not really explained about what is YouTube, what is Facebook, what's Instagram, what's WhatsApp. And I'm going in this video here, I'm going to explain firsthand of what happened. I was a teenager and I met a person I didn't meet Edward Snowden, but I met people that did stuff for the NSA. They got recruited through the colleges or through a cybersecurity program. They took a course, they applied for the job, they went through the 3 interviews, meaning that they met a person, they went through an interview just like this video, or they got a phone call and it was let's just say it said I don't know, ABC Services or whatever. Well, that's what Edward Snowden had to do. He worked for a company that was subcontracted with the NSA. Now, what I will say in regards to that the study of language in regards to things that have to do with medical and all of this stuff to begin with, there are people out there that are scammers. and they're not really honest. They say on paper or on the website like Facebook or Instagram, there's a lottery, there's published clearinghouses, all these lotteries. Well, you need to be careful in regards to that stuff. Published Clearinghouse has had problems with scammers. They say that her name is Denise. Well, I'm just going to say her first name's Denise. And she explained to me when I was going through college, I met a relative or a friend of hers that said, well, we're with the lottery department, or what they call the gaming commission. In New York State, it's strict with rules. They have rules and regulations. And the gaming commission, just like the New York lottery, they have rules in regards to lottery. You have to be careful when it comes to scams, because if anybody says to you on Facebook or Instagram, can I have a gift card, or I'm poor and I this and that, and let's just say you're a man or a woman, let's just say you're a teenager. Well, the first thing you're going to do if you have an Instagram or Snapchat, even the Snapchat as well, all these social medias, you're going to block a lot of those people. It's going to say on the system on the end, on one of the sides, to block. You block the person. There are people out there that are from Pakistan or India that are impersonators or scammers. Those people out there, they're not going to. They're going to say they're a famous actor, and they're going to say they want a $100 gift card or $200 gift card, or they want a relationship. Now, out there on the website, which I did post on Twitter, and I did look this up, there's a thing called lover syndrome. Now, I didn't meet the Tate brothers, but I did meet Mr. Tate, who is Tristan and Andrew Tate's dad. He had events that dealt with chess. So in my room, in my apartment, I had a chess set. And I always did chess. I always did a form of that. And I always was big with debate club. So in this regard, the first thing that I would say to you, men, I'm talking to you as a person that is experienced in this field, that studied this field like no tomorrow. You need to understand something. Women out here, they're going to cause you issue in regards to certain things, because in our modern generation is very, very different. So, this is Dr. Phil, and he wrote a book called We've Got Issues: How You Can Stand Strong for the American Soul and Sanity. So he wrote a couple of books. So in my room here, I'm going to just show you. In my room, I have Barnes & Nobles. I am a big component to all you men and women out there, for even people that want to better themselves. Always, I have this big Barnes & Nobles. All of this stuff that I'm trying to explain to you with Dr. Phil, there has always been a family dynamic issue. Martha Rogers, when I studied nursing and all of this stuff with these fields and medical, and EMTs face this. It's called burnout syndrome. Dr. Phil explains in those books, and when he's on those shows or he has the podcast, which I would highly recommend, you have to understand that there are people out there that he had it on, I think it was an episode. I don't remember the name of it, but I remember if you Google search it, he had dealt with people where they were lending money or they were loaning money, and the person was a ghost person. Or there was that show called Catfish. Well, there are in the FBI and these organizations, they do have forms of that. And I had set up, when I was a lot younger, non-for-profit organizations that discuss things related to that matter, about cyberbullying, and that there are things related to stuff in Europe and etc. with crypto and this whole 9 yards. So, in regards to Mr. Phil, that I want to bring up, and something I also want to bring up which has to do with commerce law. Commerce law. When I met a lot of these people in the university, and there were certain people that I met. There was a female professor that knew Dr. Phil McGraw. I'm going to ridicule his name. She studied psychological business. She studied business related to psychology that has to deal with people, with the study of it. Specifically dealing with certain things that has to do with learning disabilities. And learning disabilities meaning related to all of the stuff that I'm about to explain. There are things out there, scammers, they like to prey on people. So when I use these hand gestures, prey on, it's like a prey predator. So there are people out there that'll take advantage. You don't even realize it. It could be your friends, it could be your relative, and these are things that people don't get. And this is all related to this matter of financial abuse. So when you're in a marriage, and this is something I explained, it has to do with commerce law. When you're in a marriage, you're Christian, Jewish, Muslim, whatever it is, and you're in the United States, you always go by constitutional law. Yes, there's the penal code, which has to do with the police. If there's a domestic abuse case, first thing you do, yes, you do have to get a lawyer. But I've seen cases, and when I was at the public defender's office, and even when they had me go to the district attorney, and this is something I did bring up with certain judges like Judge Costello and etc. Most of these people that they go through this abuse, it's not necessarily what you think it's going to be. Men can get abused by women and you don't even realize it. Perfect example. I had a friend of mine named Matthew. He moved upstate. He became a state trooper. He got a high-ranking job. And he's up in Albany. And he had a wife. Now, let's just say her name is Sophie, as an example. That's not her name. But let's just say her name is Sophie. Well, she was a nurse, and she was doing things that were illegal. She worked at a hospital. She was doing drugs. She didn't get caught. Now, you may say, John, what does this have to do with kids? Well, it has to do with the dynamic of what Dr. Phil explained. When people out there have problems. When you get abused as a young child, and you have this abuse to begin with, you have this abuse system to begin with, because our democracy is not been perfected. We're in a democracy, but it's really a republic, and we're really under people that are very, very difficult to deal with. People don't like the President of the United States. People do not like Trump. People didn't even like Biden when everything was going on. And they like to point fingers. They like to say, oh, it's his fault. It's his fault for his... No, it's not his fault. Sometimes you yourself in your mind can create an obstacle for yourself. But what I did was, when I got hurt, I started realizing there were scams going on, and I brought it to my boss. And my boss would tell me all the time, you can't fight, the system is broken. You can't fight it. And I say, well, what can we do? Exactly. Well, there's nothing you can do. Well, there is something you can do. You can help people. You can be a version of what Joshua is, or prophet Joseph is. which is you can lead by example. You can be a version of a leader and explain things. And that's what I ultimately did at my job. But I had to give it up. I couldn't do it, and it broke my heart. I couldn't stay at that place because I got sick, because the coronavirus came out and people started having breathing problems. Now you may say to me, why are you the one to talk about this stuff? Well, I'm the one to talk about it because I was a first-hand witness. Now you may say to the people in the South, may say to me, hey John, it's the pandemic. It was imaginary, meaning the statistics weren't correct. None of the stuff was correct. Yes and no. But I was a first-hand witness to seeing things for the way it is. In regards to Dr. Phil and many of these psychiatrists, I want to just explain. People's rights were taken away during this pandemic. You couldn't go to church. You couldn't go to temple. You couldn't go to the mosque. You couldn't pray. It was almost like it was dangerous. And then the people up in Canada were rebelling, and I had friends in Ontario, and I never met Jordan Peterson, but I met his daughter. His daughter, she was on this podcast, and I did talk to. She had a friend that her friend that she had of Jordan's knew me, but I was on the back end of everything going on with this pandemic. I witnessed abuse and things like that you don't get. So, when the president is, and this is the problem that President Trump and many of these people are going to have in the future, Mr. Trump, you're going to be backed into a corner. Because here's the thing. Number one, the companies that you're ultimately going to have problems with is BlackRock and Vanguard, because they're responsible for unscrupulous or unethical behaviors or compliance. You're going to have to deal with your daughter. Your daughter is going to have a serious problem. Now, when I say this, you may say to me, John, what do you mean? What does that have to do with me? Or what does that have to do with? It has to do with the public, because those people out there got scammed. Those people like Elon Musk and Edward Snowden told certain people in the government, if you're not going to fix the problem with the banks, meaning the XRP system is not going to work. So let's just say I am a businessman and I am a component and I am the opposite side. I'm in the Illuminati. Let's just say I'm in the Illuminati. And I met a person, a version like myself, and in female form. And I don't want this stuff to get, I want XRP to go through. Well, you know what a lot of these actors or actresses do, or these people in foreign espionage do, or foreign intelligence, which they're not going to say. I did research and development on a lot of this stuff. I sat back, and while Edward Snowden left the country, I was here the whole time. I was aware that out there are problems going on. And you may say, well, Uncle John meaning me, how are you going to resolve it? Well, it's pretty simple. It's called running for a position. I'm going to have to start running for a position, building something, and moving on. Now, you may say, well, John, you're just one person. No, I'm not just one person. There's other people like me. See, Pete Davidson, who was in SNL, had a problem. And you may say, hey, John, what are you talking about? And I'll tell you a story. So, during the comedy hour, he was dating Kim Kardashian. This is me in the background. I don't know. I know Pete Davidson, but I really don't know the inner self of Pete Davidson, because like anybody else, I just don't butt into people's business. But what I do is I've seen both sides. I've seen the Illuminati side, and I've seen what you call the other organization, which is like St. Michael or their opponent. And in my life, George, who's my grandfather, or John George Trump, that was his switched identity, or whatever you want to call it. I was in the middle, and this war was going on since the 90s, since I was a kid. And my grandfather's relatives in the Grantner and Gatchen family, one side of them joined that organization, the I one. They joined it. So they knew the Rothschild family, they knew the whole 9 yards. And on the other side is like what you call the Vatican or St. Rose, or whatever you want to call it. The people like Mel Gibson, or let's just say Kanye, let's just say a version of Kanye, let's just say Cat Williams, for example, that is Christian. They believe in God. They say that he's the maker of heaven and earth, the whole 9 yards. And don't get me wrong, Mark Rubenstein has veered me around because I've had problems. Now you may say to me, John, what do you mean by problems? I was stuck in a pickle when I was in the city because my friend Howard Peterson and I, we were around people that we didn't trust. So we were in Columbus Circle, and you could see my room is a mess. This is my parents' house. This room is a mess because I had to make a decision in regards to the show. And I'm trying to tell you, just like this book with Twilight, I had to veer around certain people. So Pete Davidson's telling this story. I'm listening to this on YouTube. I don't speak to Pete, but what I do is I have a friend that does talk to him on the SNL show. I have a friend that was in SNL, but he's in Florida. He moved. He does his own thing. He's his own business. He left because he said there's so many, John, just like me, there's so many problems with the SNL. Now you may say, what problems? The creativity is controlled. Most of this stuff with NBC and Fox, it's control. Now, when I do this hand movement control, I mean to say there are people that are outside the system that control this. It's not the Rothschild family. It's people that are worse than the Rothschild family. And you have 4 sides of a circle system. And you go, well, John, how exactly? I'm 35 years old. What happened from 35 to 15? Well, that's a story in and of itself, which I'm going to eventually write a book on. I'm going to tell you the truth of who I was up against. I was up against an unformidable foe. It wasn't Satan. It was his relatives. Satan had a problem. I'm going to just explain this. That doesn't really explain in the Book of Jobs. And it doesn't really explain in all these sections. So I'm going to just tell you like it is. You cannot sit here and just lie to people about the Book of Jobs. 1657. 1675, I meant to say. So, I'm just going to tell you a specific section. I read this, and I read it multiple times. And this is something I want to tell you something that this is why you have to be careful with all of this stuff. It's 660, 661. So this is I'm not going to read it, but I am going to tell you a little bit, just like a teensy bit of a story that's related to the Book of Jobs. So, I had a computer screen like this. I had my headphones on, and I was about 18 years old. This is all related to this book here. And I'm reading this section, and I'm away at school, and I get a knock on the door. It's a very attractive woman. I don't recognize who she is. She seems familiar, but she doesn't seem familiar. And she says, the big guy wants to see you. Now, the big guy is Sam. I interacted with him at age 15. I got up, walked out, wore a suit, just like I did with you guys at the video. So, I'm thinking to myself, what exactly does he want? Now, he is a being that is a pain in my tuchus. He has a mother that I'm going to just say her name is Margaret. And she's the master of mystical art. She's a goddess. And you may say, John, this is an imaginary story. It's not an imaginary story. It's not an imaginary story. You may say, well, why isn't it in the books? Because they don't even want to tell you. Joshua, his mother's life is like a mystery to a lot of people. And it's not just Joshua. All these people in these books, it's a mystery. We all get told one side of the story, one side. We don't get told the other side. So when these books are made up, when these books are done, we don't know if it's... all we know is, yes, you read the specific section. The priest, the rabbi, they talk about that specific section. They explain. You go through a process. It's an hour video. Everything is on YouTube because people are still concerned with the pandemic. But what I will say in this regards to, in this matter, and it has to do with accounting and law and all this other stuff. This person that was his mother, I had fistfights with. Now you may say, John, imagination. You have an imagination. I don't have an imagination. Imagination is ridiculous to me. When you have actual evidence, you keep record of stuff. I had a camera system. I had a camera, just like I had a camera like this, but the difference was it wasn't a Kodak, it was a Canon camera. So I witnessed things. You may say to me, "Hey John, what the heck happened? What didn't happen?" I go to Hollywood. In Hollywood, they have tunnels. You may go, what the heck, tunnels? Yeah, in Hollywood, in not just Las Vegas, not Hollywood, all these places, they have tunnels. They have things where people, they have like a place that deals with Starbucks. They go into the Starbucks and they go out of the Starbucks. And you go, what the heck are you talking about? I go, there's a video of me. I don't know if it's on YouTube, but there was a video where they said, they handed me credentials. And they said, here you go, Junior. Here's Enterprise or whatever it is. I want you to do some evidence. And just like a police officer would do, which the police The police would say, this guy, he's a character. He's unbelievable. They're going to laugh, but it's true. There were tunnels underneath. There were tunnels. Now, I didn't meet Dog the Bounty Hunter, but I did meet Dog the Bounty Hunter's cousin that met him. Now, there is a lot of unscrupulous activity that happens in Hollywood that I don't even want to. I can talk about it, but I'm just going to be very careful. But the thing I want to bring up in regards to Mel Brooks and a lot of these people, those people that are out there that are actors, they got put in a corner. Like, as an example, Kanye. Kanye got put in a corner because the problem is, Kim is around. Kim's mom, she's difficult. And she's not easy to deal with. Now, here's the thing I'm going to explain. Samuel's relative, Margaret, is his mom. Now, his mom, she does magic. She practices that stuff. Now, you may say, well, how did you I had to sit there. You have to be very careful with people that are witches or Wiccan or any of those stuff with paganism. I had to sit there. And at a young age, you may say, what, John, you have an imagination. No, I don't have an imagination. I've seen it. And when I've seen it, I can say to you, I was in a room where they had robes. And they were in a circle. And they're practicing magic. And you may say, John, how the heck did you get out of these things? How did I get out of it? Oh, no, you don't even want to know. One time, I'll tell you a story. I was about 21 or 22 years old. It was around my birthday. I was away at school. This is an Ivy League school. I met those people that do Skull and Bones. Those people are not that they're dangerous. They're around people that are dangerous. So one time during this initiation, or when I got invited to the organization to begin with, I met Satan's mother. That is his biological mother that he didn't even want to speak to. She put handcuffs on me, or a representation of what you call a woman. She came to my room, and I'm in a fraternity. I have handcuffs. I have a bag over my head. I'm escorted into a truck, like a SUV. I get on a plane. I get the thing taken off of me. I'm in handcuffs. There's an older woman, and she's saying to me, we are aware of who you are. Okay? I'm in handcuffs. We're aware of who you are. Thinking to my head, I'm going to be held hostage. Because you may think, oh, no, John, you just got an imagination. No, I don't have no imagination. It happened. I was around people that was doing weirdo rituals. Now, she's in the United Kingdom. I'm in handcuffs. I'm getting walked around. They're in Europe. You think that these, no offense, I never went to the Diddy parties, but a friend of mine saw that firsthand. You think the Diddy parties are weird. These people in Europe, they're a whole different animal. The BDSM community and etc. Well, when I was around these people, I had to make a short exit of how to get the heck out of here. Break handcuffs. Run through in the middle of traffic. Get away from these people. This woman was a dangerous individual. And she is a part of this, not Illuminati organization. She's a part of this W organization that exists out there. That you may say, oh, it's just an No, it's not an imagination. She's like pure evil. and I had to fight this person. And you may say to me, "Oh, John, how exactly did you defeat this person?" Well, do you know that movie, The Amateur, with the guy with the handcuffs? I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to show you a little bit of a map. I'm going to give you a little bit of an idea of what transpired, what went through my head, what did I have to do when I was in handcuffs, how did I get out of that situation, what building was I in, where did I have to go. So I'm just going to give you a map. I'm going to just keep it real. I'm just going to try and do the very best I can with explaining.
You probably know this.
United Kingdom. I have a bag over my head. I'm in handcuffs. I'm sitting down. In my right pocket, I'm just going to show you. This is my pants that I had at the time. In this pocket, right here, in this pocket, I had a version of what you call Swiss Army watch. Swiss Army watch was, I had a thing that I could open, that I could cut or snip, or I could get the handcuffs off. I talked to this woman, Margaret, for about 15-20 minutes. She's in this room. In the other room, there's a people in hoods, and they're doing a ritual. And I said, I have handcuffs on, and I say, "Well, what am I to do? You're going to be selected for sacrifice." This is what she says to me. I'm not joking when I say this story. "You're going to be sacrificed. My son Samuel is going to sacrifice you," or one of Samuel's relatives is going to do that. I said, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Wait 1 minute." And in my pocket is a Swiss Army watch. In the other side compartment, in my back pocket, I have what you call salt. Salt. I'm a karate master. I entertain. I get the stuff uncuffed. The door is to the left of me. I'm talking to her. I said, "I ain't staying here no more. You ain't got it. You're getting sacrificed." Knife comes out. She has a drawer. Like this. She's got a drawer. She opens the drawer. There's a big, huge knife. I'm good. She says to me, "Hey, you're going to have a problem." I get the uncuffed. I run to the door. As soon as I get to that door, there's stairs that is climbed up, and I run. Now she sent people to me, meaning that there was women that were with this organization. I got the heck out of there. I didn't know where I was. I had ID, identification, everything. I didn't have my passport. I didn't have anything. I knew who I had to go to. I had to run for my life. My handcuffs, I took the thing off. I put the handcuffs in my pocket, and I started running. And just like you say, "Oh, this is just a made-up..." No, it's not a made-up story. This actually happened. So I got to the headquarters, and when I got there, that building was still there. but nothing was there. Nothing. Not a thing. Everything was marked. They had markings and things like that, but none of the stuff was there. And it's as if she was more intelligent than her own son, and her own son and her were at fistfights with each other. And this has been going on for a very long time between Sam and his mother. And this is a battle to the death. And this is a story I want to tell you. So thank you guys. Have a pleasant and wonderful day. See you guys later.